that's when I moved into the commenting fray. But I had noticed Captain Howdy on the Village Voice, and I don't remember if he was going by Captain Howdy then. He was Sharp Steve. Okay. But his posting style was inimitable. Nobody posted like him. He was an old punk rocker who had lost his sister to Scientology. Both of his parents were dead, and so she was the only family he had. And she disconnected because of Scientology. He never met her children. His, I don't remember if he had nieces and nephews or just nephews. And behind his gruff exterior, you could tell that really hurt him. Howdy he had a mind like a steel trap. He was incisive. He was incredibly intelligent. He was also, could be unexpectedly compassionate. And he had a radar for sots like nobody I have ever known. We feel that loss. But he was an encourager to a lot of people who were maybe unsure of themselves or shy when they started posting. He brought the hammer down on people who needed it. He was just one of those people who, for some reason, mattered. He made you want his approval, and I can't explain it, but he was just such an amazing, unique person. And the news of his death reached us last year. I know a lot of us were really devastated. And we'll never forget him. The bunker is not the same without him. And that's not to say that it's diminished in any way, but it's just there's a dimension that with his death disappeared from the bunker. And we miss him.
Thank you. That's our great shoot master observer. The other person that we're remembering on this occasion meant a lot to me personally. I do look through all of the comments. Sometimes I don't really have time to dwell on them, and when Baby is leading a campfire, ghost story adventure party, I will admit I go through kind of fast, but I like to know what people are talking about. And you don't read, yeah, she doesn't read the post, so we're even. But early on, the Village Voice, and I started posting daily in April 2011, so more than 5 years now. There was always a name that I was really glad to see because I really appreciated her comment on the post. I thought she had a really smart take on it that mattered to me, and that was Sugar Plum Fairy. I always looked for that name. Believe me, I love all the things you guys put on there, and I take the criticism seriously, but her name, there was something about that. And when I held my book event in Manhattan last year, she was there, and it was obvious she was ill. And it meant a lot to me that it meant a lot to her to be there. She passed away in January, and I went to Delaware to her funeral. And I was so happy to meet her family. She has this really large, wonderful Catholic family, and they told me all about things about her that I didn't know. And she was a nurse, and she had actually nursed her mom through her illness at the end of her life. and then right after that was diagnosed with cancer. But she was just so upbeat about it, and they told me she was reading the bunker to like her last couple of days.
Wow.
And it really meant, all of you meant a lot to her. So let's just raise our glasses and drink to Sugar Plum Fairy. Also known as Mary Marinelli, I should say her real name. I got my little program here. All right, all the way from England, we have one of our most colorful and just outrageous members of the underground bunker. And I've kind of kept one eye on what he's been going through over there. But I asked Pete Griffiths if he would just give us a short summary of, he went to court because he dared to criticize the Church of Scientology. So Pete, tell us what happened and give us that roundup. Pete Griffiths.
Hip, hip.
Does it work? Alright, great. Hi guys! Hi! Okay, first of all, I don't really feel worthy to be here, but I guess that's just normal, right?
Feet up more.
Oh,
Yeah.
closer? Okay, I'm not going to start from the very beginning. I can say this very simply, I can sing it, I fought Scientology and I won.
Yeah!
Technically that's not correct, but I have some very clever lawyers. Here's the advice to anybody who wants to court. Have a legal team. Do not defend yourself. Do not represent yourself in court. Have a legal team. So my guys told me if we sued the Church of Scientology for what they did, we'd been caught for years. But because we knew the individual who had done something that we were going to sue them for, we knew her name, so we went for the individual. But of course, she brought in the Scientology lawyer from England and OSA and bigwigs, and it became Church of Scientology whether they wanted it or not. Now I brought a folder here. Maybe could you pick up that folder for me, please? It's on the floor. It's green. It's a big one. And I've got a lot of newspaper clippings in there that people are welcome to look through, take a look at. Because we got a lot of press coverage. Oh my God. It's like 6. No, just put it on. We'll put it on the wall or something where people can see it if they want to. In that, there's a few other little bits and pieces of things I've collected over the years as well, which are kind of interesting. But in there is the actual email that was sent to a school principal in the school where I'd spoken, during which I was accused of being a criminal, supporting criminal activity, being the founder of Anonymous, who incidentally hacked Sony, FBI, the usual thing. I also uploaded gay pornography featuring boys like the boys in the school, okay? None of this was true, so when I showed it to the barristers, they said, "You've been defamed. Let's go for it." So we did, Now, what's the thing that happens when you take on Scientology in the courtroom? They try and get you. And they didn't get me, but they got a friend of mine, John McGee. So what happened was, Pete Griffiths versus Sabrina Collins was one case, and then we had Sabrina Collins and Michael O'Donnell versus John McGee and Pete Griffiths. And it was assault, so we supposedly assaulted them. There is a video, there was a video of that, it might still be available, that shows the supposed assault that actually didn't happen. John defended himself in court, and that's all I'm going to say on that. The newspaper clippings sum it all up, sweetly and nicely with headlines, as they always do. But once again, it comes down to, we took them on and we won. So, I'm looking forward to... There's going to be a hearing in July, so again, I'm kind of muzzled a little bit, but that's to talk about costs. It's also to talk about the injunction, which of course they took out. Now, how many times have you seen Scientology take out an injunction falsely and use it to shut down protests? Like, where's a Noel Sparrow these days? Who remembers that guy? Brilliant, you know? And I think they tried it with Angry Gay Pope as well. So that's a tactic that they use, and they've tried it with us. But the judge has already said, any undertaking cannot take away your right to protest legally. So I think we're going to be on another winner there. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. All right, these legal adventures, they're definitely something we watch carefully in the underground bunker. The next person I wanted to bring up appears in my book, and if you've read it, you know that he plays a pretty significant role in the book. And, you know, it's one of the great things about the underground bunker is we get to hear from people like Pete or Chris, other people that have been in the church and are now struggling after they left. But the really fascinating thing about Len Zimberg is he not only was in the Church of Scientology, he was a volunteer for the Guardians Office. He was part of the spy organization. And one of the things that I was so grateful about was he talked about spying on Paulette Cooper and delivering pages from her diary to her dad anonymously. Really helped my book out. And the other great thing about Len is, since the book has come out, I had to ask him for 2 years not to say anything to anyone until my book came out. He was very nice about that. And then when the book came out, we got to tell his own story. And Len Zimberg is so unique because he came out and explained what it's like to recognize that something you've done is not a wonderful thing and how to make up for it. And I think you can probably think of a few other former Scientologists that would probably benefit from going through that kind of self-reflection. But I thought it would be good to hear from Len. I'm thrilled that he came to HowdyCon, and he said he had a little update since I last spoke to him, and I told him to save it for the program. So Len, come on up here and give us your update.
Hi.
Hello.
So, if you read Tony's book, you know what I did. And for Tony to say that I did some not nice things is being very generous. I committed a felony on behalf of the Church of Scientology when I broke into Robert Calvin's apartment on Riverside Drive. George Pilot, who's still in Scientology, was the Guardian's office staff member who I accompanied. And Jerry Hines, who was connected with the Harlem War, was the person who gave George Pilot the key to Calvin's apartment, which when we entered, he photographed everything inside and gathered as much information as he could. It was a huge success. We were praised. And the question arises when one gets out of Scientology and has the baggage of these actions, what do you do? Well, for a quarter century, I was able to sort of keep it from rearing its ugly head. I lost a wife when I was in Scientology in the Sea Org, a lovely woman who has since gone on to lead a very satisfying and fulfilling life. But it wasn't until the age of 51, in 1998, that I remarried and became the father of 2 children. It's kind of strange being a Scientologist in a group where I'm an ex-Scientologist in a group where I'm in the minority. And I guess what unites us all is the belief in freedom of speech and Scientology's attempt to suppress, stop people from speaking isn't right. Scientology can't be in the marketplace of ideas. You guys know all this. I'm not preaching to the choir, and forgive me for not being as articulate as the previous speakers.
We love you, Len.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I love you too. Love you.
One thing that I was able to do as a result of getting in touch with Paulette and Tony was I was able to reconnect with my senior in the CO, who was then Al Bornstein, and now the wonderful and delightful and honest Kate Bornstein. And the rekindling of our friendship is something that I treasure. And I treasure all of you, and I just want to thank you very much.
We had a wonderful pizza dinner together, Kate and Len and I, not too long ago. Well, now that Len has reminded us some of the stakes involved in this book about Paulette, I have a little piece of news that I've been saving for tonight. Audible has signed a contract with Silvertail Books, and the audiobook of The Unbreakable Miss Lovely will be coming out in the next couple of months. Pretty happy about
Who's
that.
reading it?
I don't know yet.
You should read it.
Well, Humphrey let them know that the author is interested,
Good.
but they might hire an actor. I don't know. Who knows?
You'll do
I
it.
think it's better if we do it.
I have a radio voice, don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. What? Yeah, a radio face. Thank you, baby. Okay, so that's the update on my book. The next person I wanted to bring up, I wanted to hear what's happening with his book. And I'm just really glad that Chris Shelton has become a regular contributor to the Underground Bunker. He's really put together some high-quality videos. And thank you, Chris, for joining our group. Give us a little update. What's been going on with you?
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, good. Hi. Okay, so I wrote Scientology A to Z New, an insider's guide to what Scientology is really all about. Back in, it published it last December, and it's been, I don't have, as a first-time author, I didn't have any basis of comparison to whether it was successful or not, but pretty much every day some copy gets sold. So I'm like, okay, good. That's good. That's fine. I can look it up, and I was really surprised, actually, by the way, in producing my own audio version of it. how much demand there was for it. I mean, I've had hundreds of these things to sell. I produced it because I had a couple of comments after the book came out. I'm not an audiobook person, and people were like, boy, when's the audiobook coming out because I'm dyslexic, or when's the audiobook coming out because I like to listen in my car, and this sort of thing. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. I got the equipment. I sat down in my living room and I recorded the book.
Wow.
And I really thought,
Yes!
there were going to be like 5 copies sold, right? It was like, I got 5 requests, okay, I'll fill them, and I did it, right? And now it's hundreds of audiobooks, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah. That's great.
So no movie offers yet, but we'll see what happens with that. But I did want to let everybody know, I've alluded to this, and I guess this is a good place to, make announcements. So that book carries on, my video channel carries on, I post every week, it's what drives my life, is keeping up my YouTube channel. And that will continue, and if you keep up with what I do, you'll know that I'm moving beyond just Scientology, because I personally have moved just beyond Scientology. I've gone through this recovery process. It's been a couple of years now. I've gone through a lot of catharsis. A lot of you have mentioned to me on this trip that the interview with my mom was something you guys really liked.
It was great.
Well, it was probably the single most healing thing that I've done as far as this whole process. Everything contributes, but going out and visiting my mom and saying, hey, would you go on camera with me? And her saying, yeah, let's do it. And then just talking our experiences to the point where she forgot we were on camera because we were so into what we were talking about. It was a very special thing. And that meant a lot to her and to me. And so anyways, that's kind of moved forward in my life. And so now I think the thing that's going to kind of really put a cap on it for me, and I'm not going to keep talking about Scientology for the rest of my life, don't get me wrong, but I think as far as this catharsis, this journey goes, is going to be the book I'm writing this year, which is going to be about the RPF. And this is a subject that, I did the program, so I totally know what I'm talking about with this, and you spend 3 years, 3 months doing something, and it really, it makes a difference in your life, and I finished that program. And I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet about the RPF, some good, some bad, some right, some wrong. And this book is going to deal with all of that. And it's going to be like, this is what it is. Policies, the experience, all of it. And so I think that will be a valuable contribution to the community and to the education of to the world at large about just how bad Scientology actually gets. Because it was absolutely the single worst experience of my life. So that's coming. Anyway, I'm going to be starting that this year. I would expect to finish it by December. And that's that. So there you go.
Okay, one more thing, and then I'm going to ask you to turn that off. So, if you're a really, really good Scientologist, you get something called a Freedom Medal. And if you're Tom Cruise, you get a Freedom Medal of Valor. But if you're Observer, the underground bunker gives you an even bigger award. Missionary Kid has put this together. Derek, would you give Observer her Freedom Medal of Ultra Valor?